Namaste, my beautiful yogis and guests of my channel. It's Lisa Grail here. Whether you are at home, walking in nature, or simply resting with a cup of tea somewhere in the beautiful place, I invite you to relax and tune in. Today's format is one I love the most. I've prepared a very interesting script and tried to include a vast amount of valuable information. All my life, I've been searching for answers, and by all my life, I mean as long as I can remember myself. I've been seeking ways to feel better, to improve my health, energy, and emotional state without relying on pills or quick fixes. The journey hasn't been easy, and it's still ongoing. It took time, trial, and a lot of personal exploration and challenges. But eventually, I discovered a key. A treasure hidden in plain sight, our own body. When approached with the right methods and enough patience, the body becomes self-regulating and self-sufficient. It doesn't give us problems like diseases and fatigue anymore. It can offer lasting joy and even become a portal to a new reality. With that said, I consider Kundalini Yoga a powerful ally on my path towards autonomous lifestyle, or what some people may call living on prana. This is a natural consequence of a balanced human being in all aspects. It's like entering a new level of a game with entirely different rules and opportunities. The yogic path is a path of human evolution. Ideally, it leads to a realization so profound that there is no longer a need to return to this life in human form, like graduating from school and moving on to university. And when we've played enough in the games society offers, when we've exhausted the promises of ordinary human's life, a deeper need arises to move forward. Few people know where to move next, what path to take. And I've found clarity in this area, thanks to my stubborn pursuit of truth. When we experience a click, a moment of deep recognition, we've likely uncovered a key to our destiny. Without genuine interest, no energy is given, not even for simple curiosity. That's why I take the yogic path seriously. Though your goals may differ, we all have different purposes here on earth, or maybe at this concrete moment of time. Maybe like me in 2018, you began practicing Kundalini Yoga simply to help with depression. But because Kundalini is the most powerful and transformational type of yoga, it brings deep and lasting change. In my case, I only wanted to get rid of my depression and accidentally awakened. Just kidding. My awakening was the result of months and now years of consistent practice and inner work. What truly happens to a dedicated practitioner is a shift in the quality of their biofield. You begin to resonate at a higher frequency, which changes the events and people you attract. Some things naturally fall away, for example, alcohol, as in my case. Food has no interest and only gives heaviness and discomfort. This happens because the body metabolic processes also change. The caterpillar turns into butterfly. Today, I want to share some truly exciting information about Kundalini Yoga to help you better understand how we work with the body and what kind of changes to expect. We won't focus on the mystical aspects today. Instead, we will explore science-backed facts, physiological responses, nervous system regulation, hormones, and everything else that explains why this practice works so deeply and powerfully. Let's spend this time together, discovering something that might change the way you feel from the inside out. This year marks the 6th year since I began my daily Kundalini Yoga practice, my morning sadhana. I often reflect that without this powerful tool, I might have needed antidepressants just to get through life. It likely I wouldn't feel so youthful, mentally sharp, and physically healthy as I do today. I also believe it gave me good luck, synchronicity, and in 5 years my life shifted to completely different scenarios in alliance with my true intentions and desires. And before that, no matter how I was wanting to change, nothing happened. I also can say that it was determined by my lifestyle, which was lowering my vibrational level. It means what I was eating, consuming in general, information as well. In general, people usually are not trusting metaphysical stuff because it's subtle. It should be felt only through your own experience. But now we see that there is a fate which is written for us with downloaded programs in childhood, and usually it's a life of ups and downs and a lot of drama, self-betrayal. But also we see another way to go beyond this conditioning and choosing your own path, being guided from your true self, the spirit. I'm sure Kundalini Yoga pushed me out of circumstances I stuck in. It was life as an endless struggle with occasional sparkles and promising events which would disappear as fast as they appear. Nothing happens without a reason, and I truly hope you won't hesitate to start your own Kundalini practice after this video. Especially if you are struggling with anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, and any mental struggles in general. When we understand scientifically how it works, it becomes easier to stay motivated. Otherwise, it's hard to convince our brain to stay committed. I already have one more video with scientific exploration and explanation how it all works, but today I want to make it more powerful. Yoga isn't just a practice for calming down the mind and toning the body. It's a tool for self-investigation, for spiritual awakening, for real transformation. And this is what it was designed for. To get rid of all that doesn't belong to who I am. Destructive ego programs in conjunction with a lifestyle that is normal in society but leads to fast aging, many troubles along the way, and early death. I've always had this desire to truly understand what's happening within me, not only in the energetic level but also hormonally, chemically, biologically. As some of you who are watching my videos at least 3 years may know, I was very physically weak all my life, and thanks to such inconvenience, I was researching something that will help me, especially when I got dissatisfied with what official medicine proposed. Now I'm practicing preventive medicine, and Kundalini Yoga is one of its aspects. I'm endlessly fascinated by how ancient practices like breathwork, mantra, sound of the voice, and Kriya set of exercises affect our brain, our nervous system, our immunity. And modern science is finally starting to catch up with what yogis have known for centuries. Some practices are still hidden from us because the part of our life and society is built on ignorance, lack of true information. Person who returned back to his or her true nature is uncomfortable passenger here. That's why yogic path is very hard. At some moment you start seeing things other people do not, and it might create the feeling of isolation or desire to wake everybody up. But this stage will also finish. Yes, in our society, so many powerful truths are left undiscussed. We are often taught to just accept the surface, stay in the known, and ignore the deeper layers of our being. We usually follow what is imposed as norma, and as a rule, what is not popular has much more benefits for us. As I like to joke, if you want to know the truth, flip the facts you know to their opposite. And that, for instance, in 50, 100 years, life without food will be a new trend, at least in the same manner as vegans today. At least I hope so, because it will benefit both humanity and Earth. Modernization is good, but if humans stay in immature position, allowing someone else to take care of their health, their bodies, then there will be even more control over our biology. If scientific and medical world will accept the idea of humans' self-sufficiency, Then will come true age of prosperity, us as a species and evolution. As you see, I do not support biohacking because it leads us away from the connection with our spirit. Though sounds promising to people who like magic pills, using supplements, and don't want to work on themselves harder to open their consciousness and raise their vibrations truly. Moving next, in my opinion, and through personal experience, the absence of constant thoughts and the experience of expanded consciousness is our true natural state. But what we see around us is often a form of mental sickness, a distortion of that original clarity, as if everyone is a little bit not sober. Forgive them, for they know not what they do, right? Why are there so few people living in an awakened state, or at least in high awareness and mindfulness? After spiritual awakening, I was forgetting that some people still hypnotized, and it was really hard to find someone alive who can understand what I'm talking about. Because even with claimed profound medicine and psychiatry, there is no explanation about how our psyche and body work. And any knowledge who we are beyond the matter, beyond flesh, is denied. So many near-death experiences, people remembering their past lives, parallel lives, but as it's not proven, officially, we have this somnambular state and daily routines that pushing us to follow the scenario written for us. If we achieve something in society, it's also part of scenario, which very often leads to disappointment. Good example, the actor Jim Carrey. That's why in my healing approach, I combine the sacred spiritual tools with scientific curiosity to go beyond dogma and discover what's actually true. I have access to backstage researches of the real possibilities of us as human beings. And I invite you to do the same for yourself. So whether you've been practicing for years or you just feeling the first sparkle of interest, you are so welcome here. Let's explore together what Kundalini Yoga really does to human system and how it can help us evolve inside and out. Kundalini Yoga is a comprehensive yogic practice that combines postures, asanas, dynamic breath work, pranayamas, sound mantras, and meditations to awaken dormant energy, or Kundalini, believed to reside at the base of the spine. Unlike other forms of yoga that emphasize flexibility or fitness, Kundalini Yoga focuses on internal energy flow, glandular stimulation, and mental clarity. And that's why it stands out and is known as 8 times more effective for spiritual awakening than Hatha Yoga. There are dozens of Kundalini Kriyas designed for different purposes. If you explore playlists on my channel, you will see that there are Kriyas almost for everything. But what exactly does it do to the systems of the body? Let's start with my favorite nervous system. This intricate network of nerves, the brain and the spinal cord, is not just responsible for movement or reacting to stress. It's actually the gateway to transformation, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. You see, every emotion, every thought, every spiritual experience passes through the nervous system. These are the wires of our electrobiorobot. When it's overloaded or dysregulated, which is very common in today's world, we feel anxious, reactive, disconnected. It's hard to feel joy or clarity when your nervous system is in survival mode. We live in a society that's constantly overstimulated, running on caffeine, scrolling through noise, pushing through exhaustion. Most people don't even realize that they're stuck in survival mode. Nervous system is tired, attention spans are shattered, and emotions swing between numbness and reactivity. We've normalized stress. We medicate burnout with dopamine hits, Sugar, screens, drama, anything to keep us going. And actually, what I can say now, that all food as well. But the truth is, this isn't health. This isn't vitality. This is a collective dysregulation, a sick system keeping itself afloat on adrenaline and destruction. And the longer we ignore it, the deeper we disconnect from what it truly means to be alive. But when we begin to regulate and strengthen our nervous system through breathwork movement, combination of tension relaxation, dynamic Kundalini meditations, we create the inner space where awakening can happen naturally once we relax at a very deep level. A calm, resilient nervous system allows us to feel safe in stillness. It helps us move beyond the noise of the mind and enter the quiet space where intuition, presence, and deeper awareness live. I like to joke that you are becoming like a psychopath. It's impossible to scare you. There is no such reaction as panic anymore. Moreover, sometimes the more weird reality unfolds in front of me, the more I am excited and even laughing about it. Without still nervous system, I would never leave my country alone with small amount of money and without any understanding how to travel safely in 2022, if you know what I mean. Such actions are done through surrender and trust. Trust is a quality of a person with a strong nervous system, ability to relax in chaotic, fast-changing circumstances. And what comes when you really go nuts, lose your mind in the good meaning of the word, that is, when you are truly awakened and your perception is lucid, you cannot take life as serious as before, especially its so-called problems. You are not becoming an irresponsible goof. You are rising above the game, observing it, and ruling from the subtle plan. Kundalini Kriyas, especially those involving rapid breath work like breath of fire, that means almost every single one, directly stimulate the autonomic nervous system. For instance, I have a beautiful Kriya, becoming strong as steel, and the whole playlist to strengthen your nervous system. The comfort of recorded videos is that you don't need to interrupt the flow of your practice, constantly looking in the manual. And when you repeat the same kriyas over and over again and remember how the exercises should be performed, you can only follow my voice without a need to look at me on the screen, though I try to look nice and filmed in beautiful locations in most of my videos. Repeated practice of Kundalini Yoga strengthens the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting calmness long-term as your baseline capacity to stay calm and regulated over time, even when life throws challenges at you. It's not just about a temporary moment of peace during meditation. It's about how resilient and balanced your autonomic nervous system remains throughout your daily life. And now, scientific insight. A 2018 study published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience found that Kundalini Yoga improves executive function and emotional regulation by modulating activity in the prefrontal cortex and default mode network. Electroencephalogram scans of practitioners often show increased theta and alpha waves, which are associated with deep relaxation and meditation. In this mentioned research, after 8 weeks of daily 30-minute practice, participants reported a 40% reduction in perceived stress. Moreover, that's why if you are always in such regime of work of your brain, then so-called sleep deprivation, but will be more correct, no need to sleep so much, is nothing but consequence of the ability of your brain to have a switch between its regimes without need to fall asleep in deep phases of sleep. There was also investigation that the brain of Tibetan monks is always in theta state, no matter what they are doing. They are in the constant dynamic meditation, while normal person quickly comes back to chaotic thoughts, after meditation into beta waves state. For me, true spiritual awakening is when the brain works like in a monk. And this is how I feel, and what I call natural high all the time. It can be a little bit more shallow and more deeper, depends on situation, but in general, this state never goes away. What can lower this state and regulate it to a higher or lower degree is, you might guess it, food and sleep. Interesting, right? It's not only my observation, but all really awakened people. Comparison is obvious. I don't want to judge anyone, but I can hardly imagine a person with 3 meals a day and 8 hours sleep to be awakened, even if he claims so. The fact is that after real spiritual awakening, the quantity of food should be reduced naturally as a consequence. There is no appetite, there is no interest in or craving. And this is because body and brain changes its chemistry to self-sufficient mode, total balance. A spiritual joke here, which contains truth, when you realize yourself as not a body, then there is no one to feed anymore. Not instantly, sure, it can self-regulate through several years. If the practitioner stabilizing the state and expanding more, maybe helping body to cleanse with herbal detox, some people stop a little bit before time. And that's why they have just one moment of spiritual awakening throughout their life, and then they just remember this as an experience, as transcendental experience, and that's it. So it looks like you are traveling from one dimension to another. If you want to feel blurry, lack of clarity and buzz, eat something heavy. Usually after eating comes its friend sleep, relaxant, to help you digest and spend all energy on this process. After sleep, it takes for a while to remember who you are, where you are, like after party with drinks. So we can make some conclusions here and think about what is healthy, normal, and what is, how I like to call it, the theater of absurdity. Something perceived as normal because everyone is living the same way, like in the rule of 100 monkeys. Sleep, in my opinion, and what I learned and experienced, is an energy credit. It gives us much less comparing to what it takes away from us. Control over the time and even matter. But I won't be touching this topic today. It's necessity, sleep, only for people who are eating a lot. A lot is 2 or 3 times a day. One small meal a day usually makes us decrease time of sleep to 4 hours a day automatically. Alright, moving next to cardiovascular system. Mechanism. Breath work like long deep breathing and alternate nostril breathing pranayamas regulate heart rate and blood pressure. Meditative practices reduce cortisol, thereby lowering systemic inflammation and improving heart rate variability, HRV. A study in the Journal of Complementary and Integrative Medicine in 2017 found a 15% reduction in systolic blood pressure in hypertensive adults after a 12-week Kundalini yoga program. A kriya that combines movement with deep breathing like Sat Kriya increases venous return, improving circulation and cardiovascular tone. The third point, endocrine system, hormones. This topic is super important, and I can say that I finally got understanding why humans in general are such druggies. We are addicted to everything. It's part of our life and experience on the way to growth. A part of growth to compare below and above. No need to deny it. There is a stimulation of hormones with everything around us. But what I discovered beyond open information, that there should be activated, released much more hormones, alchemy within. Most of these hormones have no name officially. They are responsible for our, let's say, super abilities, at least foreseeing events, clairvoyance, and hyper empathy, telepathy. Also, as long as we're using our bodies for easy pleasures, it's hardly possible to activate all these abilities because the attention is going out. All energy is given to outer stimulants. Food is one of them. Not focus on inside with generating energy within. As like we can endlessly form new neural pathways, which can easily make our cognitive functioning sharper or even genius, like in movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson, or we endlessly carry so-called trash DNA, we are not activating our neural pathways and calmly dancing towards the grave. Kundalini yoga regulates hormonal system and it gives a lot. Most people think wealth is about strategy, work, patience, good luck. But deep down, it's our hormonal system that sets the tone. All our life, daily mood depends on how we feel. I already filmed talks about victim mentality, victimhood, and how it gradually kills our body with stress hormones and spoils all our destiny. So let's name the most popular hormones in the body and their effect. It's very interesting. Cortisol, the stress hormone, when it's high, your body is in survival mode. You can't create, take risks, or receive. You are stuck in contraction, not expansion. It's very short description. You can search more information, but it's the main essence. Dopamine, the drive hormone. It fuels motivation, focus, and vision. But overstimulation from screens, tasty, nasty food, masturbation, or sugar burns it out. In my consideration now, if you want to be more higher, then you need to have primitive food without any tastes or no food at all in very small quantities. The result of over-intake of dopamine is apathy, no fire to act. I also wrote the post that dopamine is our guiding light. If we are doing something our soul doesn't want, we lose dopamine and have to stimulate ourselves with something from the outside all the time. Ideally, there should be natural flow of dopamine, the flow state as a natural joy, impulse to act here and now. Oxytocin, the receiving hormone. It opens you to connection, love, and trust. Without oxytocin, we reject help, sabotage, wealth. With it, you feel safe to receive. It's interesting how opening heart chakra boosts this hormone. You are ready to love everyone. You unpack this unconditional love to everyone and compassion. And even if there was a trauma of betrayal, you are ready to trust again. So this memory as if erases from your cells, from your DNA. It's a miracle. And we can make a deep connection with people if we have normal balanced oxytocin in the body. Moving next, serotonin, the worthiness hormone, linked to self-confidence and peace within. Low serotonin, you undercharge, undervalue, and shrink. The topic of self-value is really important. Serotonin gives us unconditional self-value without attachment to achievement, attractive appearance, age, what you ever experienced, how smart you are, and evaluations of outside the world. Interesting that serotonin is extremely low in depressed people, and they usually consider themselves ugly and not worthy. I've been there, and I remember this state. And this is only our hormones. What can I say? Testosterone, the power hormone, not just for men. It gives clarity and boldness. It's your get it done energy. You manifest by acting with authority. In my opinion, it's good to have it for women to protect their boundaries and be more structured. So wealth is not just mindset, it's a hormonal state. Balance your inner chemistry, and you unlock the flow of true abundance and self-value based on deep chemistry, not on inferiority complex and desire to be the best and compete everyone. Our society, as you see, pushes us into competition all the time and comparison. This is all ego mind programs. The sooner we realize this, the faster we will obtain the feeling of abundance within and unshakable self-value just because we are. How Kundalini helps with this alchemy. Specific postures and breath patterns target glandular centers, pituitary, pineal, thyroid glands, adrenal glands. Chanting mantras stimulates vagal tone, which affects hormone secretion, especially oxytocin and serotonin, which help us to dive to the present moment and give clarity. Example of Kriyas, all the Kriyas. Ego eradicator with breath of fire energizes the adrenal glands, releases cortisol and stress from the body. Kirtan Kriya improves hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis balance, shown to enhance memory and reduce Alzheimer's risk. Sufi grind also helps to produce serotonin in the intestines. All postures are designed for stimulation and balance of separate glands or a group of glands. According to UCLA study, Kirtan Kriya improved telomerase activity by 43% in caregivers of Alzheimer's patients, indicating a potential anti-aging hormonal effect. Imagine what a rejuvenation effect in general Kundalini Yoga gives to daily practitioners. So instead of surgeries and Botox, expensive and very doubtful in a long perspective measure, we can normalize hormones and prolong our youth. I know for sure that all aging processes we see in society is also the consequence of our lifestyle, and no idea about what a gorgeous, endlessly regenerating biomechanism we have. I have a lot of kriyas for rejuvenation on my channel in separate playlists. In regulated conditions and with another lifestyle, I'm hinting, lifespan can reach 1,000 years. After this term, or even earlier, we can leave the body consciously, because Earth itself can provide us with limited experiences. Going next, respiratory system. Most Kundalini practices involve structured breathing techniques that expand lung capacity, strengthen respiratory muscles, and improve oxygenation. Breath of fire increases oxygen intake and carbon dioxide tolerance, supporting endurance and detoxification. Pulmonary function tests on long-term practitioners show a 20-25% increase in vital capacity compared to age-matched controls. Breath is life, at least at our stage of development. Breath holds, especially on exhalation, create true miracles. Hypoxia signals the body to produce more erythropoietin, EPO, which stimulates red blood cell production, improving oxygen delivery long term. Cells adapt to use oxygen more efficiently, supporting better energy production, what is called mitochondrial efficiency. Hypoxia also strengthens respiratory and cardiovascular systems. The body learns to function under stress, increasing resilience and stress tolerance. Also, it causes hormetic stress response. Like cold exposure or exercise, short-term hypoxia is a good stress that may upregulate anti-inflammatory and antioxidant pathways. Neuroplasticity and brain benefits. Some studies suggest intermittent hypoxia can stimulate BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, supporting learning, memory, and repair. Breathwork pranayama also help with migraines as well and cognitive functions of the brain. I have Kriya for migraines on my channel and lungs detox playlist. You're welcome. As you see, if we just spend a little more time each day on self-regulation instead of racing to achieve, fix, or prove ourselves, we might not have to work so hard just to afford expensive health insurance later. This is preventive medicine. Self-healing and regulation today is investment in your future, in your health span, in the version of you that won't need rescuing, assisting living, because you've built inner stability from within and you constantly rejuvenate yourself. Moving to another very important system of our body, immune system. Kundalini Yoga reduces chronic inflammation markers like CRP. Improved vagal tone correlates with stronger immune resilience. A study is Psychoneuroendocrinology 2013 showed that Kundalini meditations reduced gene expression associated with inflammation. We work on lymph drainage a lot, shaking our body, and erase stagnation of toxins, so we become much more resilient to any infections. I also do recommend to pass herbal detox what comes to immunity, because inflammation cannot be reduced absolutely only through sports or cleansing your intestines with enema. Body of the modern people is too cluttered, in my opinion, and it's only the matter of time when there will be a big bada boom. And stress can activate diseases that are waiting to jump on stage and perform drama in your life. While clean body doesn't need to constantly fight against bacteria. Normal body temperature is too high. It speaks about constant inflammation and is a reason of fast aging. 98.6 Fahrenheit or 36.6 Celsius is inflammation. Guys like me who clutter in the body less, past herbal detox, and do breath work, breath holds, have a lower inflammation, and our normal body temperature is 96 Fahrenheit and lower, or 35-34 Celsius. Who stopped consuming food at all, even lower. Aging is inflammation and tear and wear of the body. All scary diseases is also the consequences of weakened immune system. Since I started Kundalini, I was sick only once with COVID. And my disease lasted one day when I remembered about the powerful tool as dry fasting. And then I just could not feel smells for about 3 weeks, and that was it. But after this episode, I again remembered about what I was studying in 2014 about life without food and discovered many interesting things. You know, in our life, before something dramatic happens, we are not moving. But I realized that if information arrives twice in my life, I should be super silly not to take it into my consideration, give it a try again, more wisely and boldly at the same time. The sooner, the better. Moving towards the most nasty organ of our body, brain, and let's see how Kundalini Yoga affects our neuroplasticity. Deep meditation states increase brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, aiding in neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. 12 weeks of Kundalini meditations increased gray matter volume in regions related to attention and emotional regulation. Also discussed in one video that by affecting hypothalamus, we have Krias for this gland as well, we can fight addictions, especially food addiction. What I discovered is that we are like mice under experiment, feeding ourselves with something which stimulates specific zones in our brain and demands more and more, like sugars, for instance. But Kundalini Yoga can reprogram our brain to have more beautiful states without any stimulation, without this craving for tasty food. Alcohol will be perceived disgusting, believe me, and will fall off on its own. So yeah, brain can be our enemy and our friend at the same time. It just writes down repeated actions we take and play them as a broken record. That's why it's so important to develop, make changes in life, learn new information, try some new habits, good habits. and learn new skills. The harsh truth of reality is that if we aren't take responsibility for our health and habits, no one will help us. Pills can only improve the quality of life as a credit, which we have to pay out one day. Going next, digestive and elimination systems. I would call it excretory system. Spinal flex kriyas and abdominal locks, Uddiyana Bandha, cat-cow pose stimulate the enteric nervous system, sometimes called the second brain. Almost all practices improve peristalsis and balance the gut-brain axis. Sufi grind, for instance, produces serotonin in our guts, as I told you before. I have many kriyas for liver detoxification, colon cleanse. Just do them. Together with herbal detox, it will be the most effective change in your life. Clean guts, clean mind, less food, more time for rejuvenation and restoration of breakages in the body. Conclusion, dear yogis. Kundalini Yoga is a neurophysiological training method. Through its unique combination of breath, movement, sound, and stillness, it impacts multiple systems of the body in measurable, beneficial ways. While more large-scale trials are needed, current research and experimental data suggest that Kundalini Yoga is a powerful complementary therapy for stress-related inflammatory and neurodegenerative conditions. For me personally, it was the highway to a completely different life. I think I've been reborn, and I received messages from many people whom Kundalini Yoga saved life, not less. I hope everyone is motivated to practice now. Move slowly, consciously, don't overwhelm yourself, love your body, increase the load gradually. In 5 years, there will be no kriya or meditation which you consider super hard anymore. Your body will be strong, toned, and flexible, though it was challenging at the beginning. I wish you good luck in constant practicing. Under this video, you'll find how to enter membership to have access to all kriyas on my channel or apply to my Udemy courses, though I remind you that you can have endless access to 14 classes to my courses just hitting me on email. Follow top link in description to find my contacts. Love you all. Stay true and kind. The rest things never mind. Sat Nam.